Ryan Holiday's Ego is the Enemy, written in 2016, is a quick, insightful, powerful read. It is a big improvement from his one written in 2014, The Obstacle is the Way. A lot of what I had criticized about that book is done right in this one. I think, again, it's great for young readers. It's going to be a quick, fast-paced read, but there's more depth to it, which I really appreciate, and it covers a wider array of topics, the ego and how it is problematic. And you think you might know, but by reading this, it's like, wow, it really can be the enemy if you don't watch out. So let's get into the review. I'll tell you all about it. I'll tell you what I liked, all that stuff, all the usual stuff. All right, let's go. The structure of the book is very similar to The Obstacle is the Way. It consists of 3 different sections: aspiration, success, and failure. And what it talks about in each section is how ego can impact it, right? So he says that each section, each part, aspiration, success, or failure, it's transitory, and they each happen throughout our lives constantly, right? And so therefore, we have to constantly monitor our ego in each of the 3 sections. Now, it is a bit longer. It's 217 pages, so it's more fleshed out, which I appreciated. It's still as quick of a read, though. I still read it in 5 days, because even though it's longer, some of the stories, the historical examples and such, are more gripping, so you're going to want to still read it. It's definitely structurally an improvement on the last one. The book starts off with what's called the Painful Prologue, and what that is Holiday's experience with ego. So he talks about all the accomplishments in his life, all the great things that he's accomplished. But as he tells later in the prologue, so after like a couple pages, he says, wait up though, I conveniently left out all these things, all these challenges, all these obstacles, all this negative stuff that happened to me, that helped me grow into the person I am. And that is the point of this book, is that ego can be problematic. The mythology we give ourselves can be problematic because you emphasize the very best while glossing over the bad stuff or the challenges, and that's not helpful to anyone, not to you, and certainly not to others if you teach them, right? So I absolutely loved the prologue in this one. It was great. As I said, one thing I really liked about this book was the historical examples are more fleshed out. They're longer. You get more out of them, and even if you don't like history, I feel that you'll be able to pick up the lessons in each one. So my favorite one actually is he talks about, during the Civil War era, he talks about General William Sherman and Ulysses S. Grant, and he talks about how Sherman was more humble in his approach, he was driven to complete the mission, to do what needed to be done, whereas Grant, who after the war became president, was very egotistical, very driven by his ego, and it ultimately led to his downfall. So in this book, there's a lot of that juxtaposing of this is what it's like to be humble, where you should strive for, and this is what it's like when ego takes control. So it really is insightful. It gets you thinking, and the historical examples definitely help with that. Overall, I think this is a great read. I would recommend it to anyone looking to maybe break out of their bad habits, maybe see through their ego, see what's going on with it, and wanting to control it or keep it in check. I think especially younger readers would benefit, because the earlier you put your ego in check, the better. But like I said at the very beginning, even if you aren't very egotistical, like I feel when I went into this, when I started reading, like my ego has been in check. I mean, it's always been a topic that's fascinated me, and I've always worked on it. So nothing in this book was crazy, like an epiphany moment. But this is like a collection of what the dangers of the ego are. So after reading it, I was like, wow. So if you're not there yet and your ego is still kind of running wild, this one might actually shock you, but shock you in a good way. Go out and get it, definitely.